Hi, I'm Sarah from the upcoming. A real pleasure to chat to you today. How's it going?
Nice to meet you, sir. I'm Taz. I'm very well, thank you. How are you
We
doing?
actually met on a red carpet, but it was a while ago, and that was in person. This is virtual, so you wouldn't remember.
And you know what? The upcoming gave me my first review of my first play, and it was a good review. So like I appreciate you guys and I love you guys and thank you for not slating my first play and traumatizing me permanently.
No, well, I'm sure you deserved it. So there we go. Well, maybe you can kick off with a brief intro to Cleaner. What can people expect going into this movie?
You can expect Martin Campbell doing the iconic thing that he always does with his movies, Clive Owen being awesome, Daisy Ridley being kick-ass, and me being very different than what you expect.
And when you read the script, I mean, it's kind of a gift of a role. Maybe this is the kind of thing, when you're a young actor starting out, you sort of dream of doing. Did you feel like that when the script was put in front of you? This is what I've been waiting for in a way.
Yeah, I definitely thought like, wow, I don't think that I think so many different stars aligned for me to be able to do this at the age that I'm at, with the people that I was doing it with. I read it in the car on the way to go meet Martin. And, and I remember thinking, are they sure that I'm the dude for this? Because the character was also written as older, so I was a very wild card choice for it. I don't think Martin was that impressed when he met me. But I think it took him about 4.5 hours to be sold on me as we read through the script. And by the end, we knew what we were going to do together, and we knew that we were going to make it very different than it was on the page.
What did you do to change his mind? What happened in this 4.5 hours? Did you get drunk?
Well, I mean, I like to say that it was, my great reading of the script, but it was probably just that I made him laugh. I think he's so used to Martin is somebody who is able to look through your soul. Like when he looks at you, you have to be very comfortable with who you are because he sees the entirety of it. Because I think he's just so used to seeing people for what they are and for who they are. And and there was just no phase in me. I think I broke him a little bit by how little he was able to break me in the first time we met. And there was this one moment I remember. It was like the first time he properly laughed. It was the first time I properly was able to make him laugh, and it wasn't even on purpose. He left the meeting that we were doing because it was so long, and it was in the evening. It was after I'd finished on set from another film, and we were at the studios in Reading reading it, and he had to leave halfway through to go take a Zoom with Sylvester Stallone, and I was so hungry. And he had a bunch of naked bars around in the office, and I just nabbed all the naked bars, bro, and I just ate the whole thing. And when he came back into the room, he'd finished his Zoom. I was finishing up the last naked bar, so I was like, and he went straight into the scene. So I was reading it whilst chewing. He was like, "Stop! What are you doing? What is that weird thing you're doing with your face?" And I was like, "I'm so sorry, bro. I ate all your naked bars, but I promise you I'll buy them back." And he just burst out laughing. And it was the first time I actually saw him smile at me. And he put the script down. He was like, all right, we're done. Well done, my boy. And he gave me a little pat on the shoulder. So I don't know. I think it was that I ate all his naked bars. I think that's what convinced him.
And I guess also there's kind of like an old school feeling to the movie. It's like one of these action movies I think we grew up watching, but you don't see them in the same way anymore. Like the stakes are high, there's a bit of comedy, but that doesn't mean that the action sequences aren't still,
Yes.
high octane. And obviously we know like of all his work and even the James Bond movies, I mean, wow, incredible. But do you think that's partly because he's been a bit of a veteran of this genre? He sort of brought that to this movie too.
Yeah, and he knows exactly what he's doing at all times. So like I bring like my whole breadth of creativity to everything, every scene and every moment, and he just very quickly will sit and be like, "No, no, no, yes, do that." Next, and then when we're doing it, he's searching for something. He pictures exactly what he wants to see and how he wants it to sound. And until you hit that exact mark of the image that he has in his head, we don't move on. Like, I really hope that, like, I almost wish that I could do another, I don't almost, I for sure wish I could do another 5 films with him just to be able to soak up the knowledge that he has and the way that he does his films before he stops doing them. Because I don't want that to be lost in our generation. And I don't know if there's anybody who quite does things like he does them or quite knows his job as well as Martin knows it at this point.
And coming to your character, I mean, it's quite kind of a multi-layered one. I mean, even sort of the person we meet right at the beginning of the film, and then sort of how, you know, he sort of peels back those layers as the movie goes on. And obviously you have to sort of play up a different dynamic, you know, with Joey, with Daisy's character at the beginning versus, you know, how that sort of transforms. So how did you approach that and kind of have those different sides to him?
Peel back layers is such a wonderful way to put it without spoiling it. I like it. That's very smart. We only really had one scene, Daisy, Daisy and I only had one scene really to nail the start of that relationship or the good part of that relationship before everything starts to transpire. And I think we all just very much hoped that it would work, that we would hang from the harness and that we would start speaking and somehow seem like we'd been friends for a very long time. And we spent some time together before when we were learning how to window clean, which was satirical, and sometime when we were doing the harnesses as well. But we really didn't have much time to get to know each other, so I think we just hoped for the best. And I think everybody was pleasantly surprised that it didn't seem that we just met a week ago when we first did those scenes, because that was the first scene that we shot. Peeling back the layers was very much a process of figuring it out on the day and in the situ, because I, like, especially for example with Clive, I knew that I just wasn't going to be able to be physically imposing next to him. I knew that was not a tool that I could count on within my toolbox, because he is legendary, has a huge presence, and is also an extremely large man. So I quite literally do all my scenes like this, looking up at Clive. Like I almost asked for a little box to stand on like that. That's how small I felt.
Like Tom Cruise with Nicole Kidman, I think back.
Literally, I was about to be like, bro, can I get an apple box? Because it feels like a child screaming up at his dad. But so because I knew that going in though, it didn't catch me by surprise. I definitely tried to figure out what were the tools in my toolbox. And one of them was just, if I could surprise everybody on set, including Clive, with how I reacted to situations or what ways I figured out how to fix the problems, then I knew I'd be able to keep everybody somewhat on edge. And so I just practiced that over and over again. Whenever even I thought I knew where a scene was going to go, I'd throw it out the window and think of a new way to do it. Or, you know, put responses or moves into places that wouldn't normally fit, just to keep everybody a little bit like, whoa, okay, I don't know how this is going to go. And then by the time you get to the end of it, I think it was crucial that we shot it quite linearly as well, because the first few days that I was on set, I was very much a fish out of water with Martin, who is such a strong presence, and with everybody else around me who very much knew how this kind of film works, and I didn't. And it took me a few days to really feel like, okay, the only way to really exist in here is to act and conduct yourself with absolute conviction on what your ideas are. Because if you're not absolutely convicted, they're gonna get swept under the rug. And by the point that had happened, we were a ways into the film, and then Martin had really started to trust me. And by the point at the end where the layers are completely peeled back on Noah, and he's completely on his edge, I remember Martin came to me and he cleared the room and he asked me to come in, and he was like, all right, cool. This is your stage. Do your thing. The camera's going to follow what you do. Everybody's not going to be here. Okay. I'm just going to yell, go, and then you just do your thing. And I was like, wow, that's such a cool place to have arrived at together, from like you really not knowing if I was the dude you were thinking of or picturing, to now you're just completely giving me the keys and letting me drive the car. But that's kind of what the process went like.
In terms of shooting, you know, what were some of the most challenging scenes, I guess, in terms of the prep you had to do for like the stunt sequences and stuff, learning to wash a window on a harness?
The washing the window was just like a very swift crash course. And then I had a squeegee and a bucket that I took home with me just to practice. But that wasn't a particularly difficult thing. I just had to get fluid with the squeegee. The fighting was also not honestly the most difficult thing, because it was just more about learning how to, I already knew how to grapple somewhat, and I'd done a little bit of boxing, but it was just more about focusing on fights that would happen on the street and fights that would happen in reality, as opposed to like the more fantastical martial arts based fights that I've done in the other show that I do. But Daisy knows what she's doing. The whole stunt team was super experienced. Gary, who coordinated it, he's done the stunts for like every great action movie you've ever seen. He does Marvels. He does, so everybody very much knew what they were doing, and I think I just wanted to do them proud, and it was more a process of that, of like, how do I come in here not thinking that I know how everything works, putting the work in and showing that I deserve to be here, and showing that I also have I've earned the right to do my own stunts on it.
Mm. And in terms of, I guess, first and foremost, it is, of course, pure entertainment value, on the edge of your seat, like action, like thriller. But there is this kind of thread running through it of, he has this way of looking at the world when he's thinking about the environment, wanting to kind of take justice into his own hands, I guess, to a certain extent. Is that something you also lent into and were perhaps thinking about, of like people who do get, drawn into these kind of extremist sort of groups?
I think it's the absolute equivalent to anybody who gets drawn into a gang. I think it's the absolute equivalent of anybody who gets drawn into like a cult, or just any group of people that gives you a sense of community and direction. I do think it's an action movie that doesn't have a political message, but I do think that it has an allegory at the center of it, which is a generation of people that go unheard for long enough, are able to do, or willing to do, or capable of doing very, very loud things in order to be heard.
And in terms of your career, how this fits in, I mean, do you feel like this is kind of taking you up a notch? How do you choose your roles? What are you hoping to happen next?
I just want to do something different every single time. So uh whatever the 180 complete contrast is to Noah is the thing that I hopefully do, which is kind of, to be honest, what I'm in Spain right now shooting, and I'm probably doing something that's the complete 180 to him. And then I just want to keep doing 180s, man. I want to keep pulling the handbrake of where the car is going, or where somebody might think the car is going, and showing up somewhere they never thought I'd show up.
Can you tell us what you're shooting, or is it top secret? All we know
Oh
is
yeah, I think where I'm shooting doesn't give anything away. I'm in Gran Canaria right now.
enjoy. Well, thanks so much for sharing all that with me. Huge congrats on the movie. Can't wait for everyone else to see Cleaner. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, my lovely. You have a great day, okay?
Yeah, you too. Thank you.